Joe Rogan's latest episode is blowing up today, and the headline news is he went after Donald Trump's ongoing assault on our democracy. But wait, there's more. There's also a blistering takedown of our failing government institutions that both Democrats and Republicans should hear, and a wild disclosure from a congresswoman about interdimensional beings. Stick around, because in the year 2025, things that were once considered out of this world are now fair game, and I have it all for you next. Rogan's guest was Congresswoman Anna Luna from Florida, who as a Republican sometimes defends the indefensible Trump moves. And she also just happens to be an Air Force veteran, and that'll be important when the conversation turns to what the government is hiding about UFOs. And she's not shy about calling out her peers and the corruption and institutional inefficiencies that plague our Capitol. Let's begin there. It's the part that I consider bipartisan.
We have the ability to do something called a discharge petition, and it's where you can physically go down and basically collect signatures on a bill. And so I'm bringing forward two that have already been filed. One is going to be to force a vote on term limits. So I'm going to see if members of Congress will actually put their name to actually bring that bill to the floor. There's going to be a massive, I hope, pressure campaign to activate members to do that. And then the other one is banning insider trading.
Yeah, that's been talked about for a while.
But hasn't been done. And we can do it now.
Nancy just needs a little more money and then she'll quit.
Well, it's not. You know, there was a comms director meeting for the entire GOP, and I'm calling up Burchett's bill on banning insider trading, and we were not invited to that meeting. Our staff was excommunicated from that.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I know. Something
how
about
weird.
Making money. Weird.
Shocker. It's crazy how openly corrupt that part of the business is. But the thing is, once you've become accustomed to be able to do something, and you've been able to do it for decades, you're very reluctant to give that up. Why would you give that up? That's a huge advantage.
People say that it doesn't exist, but last time I checked, when you are given access to CEOs, when you're given access to information that are affecting markets, and then you're on the committee or that has purview over those bills, you do have information.
Seems like you have a little more than the average person.
And there's a lot. You know, you can look at people's, they go in, you're making $175 a year, and then all of a sudden you come out, you're worth like $20 million, $200 million. I was told if I forced a vote that I was going to cost us the Republic is what I was told.
But the thing about the insider trading thing is the amount of money is so egregious. Isn't Pelosi now worth $400 million? Wasn't that
upwards? I saw upwards of $200 million, but it's not just her. It's on both sides.
Oh yeah, no, she's just the poster lady. And unfortunately, no slight at her. It's all across the board. If you look at how many people, it's red, blue. It's the whole thing. Yeah. Everybody's doing it.
Going back to what I said, we need younger people and we need more normal people to run for office.
I'm a yes on both counts, term limits and curb insider trading. How about you? Please comment below. And now let's turn to Rogan slamming Trump's ICE moves, which may surprise many considering their once cozy relationship. Have a look, but be sure and stick around to the end for the UFO disclosure, because after all, once the interdimensional beings take over, will any of this really matter?
I mean, it was a visceral reaction that a lot of people had to the idea of people just showing up and pulling people out of schools and pulling people out of Home Depot and pulling people that were just hardworking people that maybe snuck over here because they didn't have a legal way to get over here. But since they've been here, they've been good people and they're a part of communities. And that's what freaks people out, because when people thought about ICE, they thought, great, we're going to get rid of the gang members. They didn't think, great, you're going to get rid of a landscaper.
But to your point, so how do you fix something like the immigration system as a whole, right? So
you definitely don't have an open border. That's crazy.
Correct.
Because you need to know if people are criminals that are coming in. You don't want cartel members coming in. You don't want murderers coming in and serial killers. There's a reason why we have borders.
Yeah.
All the above, right? There's a reason why we have borders. But the thing that freaks people out is how many corporations rely on illegal labor? I'll tell you a story that a high-level government official told me. Okay. I don't know if he said it on here or not, so I don't want to say his name.
Wait, so he was on here, so then that narrows it.
Fucked up.
Okay, it's okay.
Someone actually said to him that they don't want to stop the illegal immigration because they need cheap labor.
Correct. I actually think that it'll never stop, at least not in Congress.
That they don't have to pay them any benefits. They don't have to take care of their insurance.
Or pay them at all.
Well, they pay them, but they don't have to pay them what they're supposed to pay them.
Well, I've heard cases where people, specifically contractors, will walk on people if they know that they're here illegally. And like, so going back to like, how do you fix this?
Right.
Is one of the top cases that I handle aside from Social Security help and refunds, like within my congressional office. So a congressional office does constituent services, and it's basically like customer service. Like, have you been victimized by the federal government? You know, call this number. That's your congressional office. So specifically on immigration cases, like if you've had an issue with the State Department, visas, all of that, you can contact your local congressman. And so what I will say is that we've had people that have spent like tens of thousands of dollars to come here, but it takes like 20 something years to do. And that's part of the problem is there's been such an influx and such a bog down of the actual system that our actual system is not functioning at the capacity that it should to actually help people come here the correct way.
Well, especially poor people. But if you're just a landscaper, you're just a guy who lives in a third world country and you want a better life, and you say, I heard you can get across, and I heard when you get across you can get work. Like, what is that guy going to do? That guy doesn't have the money to hire a lawyer. He's not going to. How is he going to prove that he's more valuable than a United States citizen that's already here doing the exact same job?
It's going to continue to be a problem. And I have heard, on the floor, these are conversations between members that, to a certain extent, especially when you're talking about, like an e-verify system within the ag industry, that actually members of that committee don't want that because they know that the farmers are actually heavily relying on some of these illegals to work in their fields.
And construction crews and fill in the blank.
So I can confirm that.
Let's review. Rogan and Luna pointed out the forces within the government that make it both difficult for the much-needed labor to come here and now stay here, and how they're systematically exploited if they do stay here. And of course, Trump makes everything worse with his racist signals that puts him at risk versus the MAGA extremist, his Gestapo-like enforcement via ICE, and the inhuman treatment of those who end up at a place like Alligator Alcatraz. Both Rogan and Luna have been criticized on this channel before, but this time, I appreciate how they broke from the MAGA script, called out Trump's ICE tactics, and pointed out some very deep flaws at the highest levels of our government. They didn't mince their words, and because Rogan reaches 20 or so million listeners with every broadcast, I know a lot of Republicans were listening. And speaking of listening, now let's talk about the interdimensional forces that are probably listening to us right now, wondering what is wrong with those humans. And on that note, I'll give Rogan and Luna the final word.
I can also tell you, and this might sound crazy, but based on our investigations and stuff that we've seen, there is definitely something that I think would rival what we know currently with physics, and a tech that potentially is out there that we don't have the ability to reproduce, because it would basically be like dropping a cell phone right off back during the time of maybe caveman. So like we just don't have the tech to develop it yet. What I can also tell you is based on our interviews, and this has been something that you can go back and watch with the congressional hearings, but I was actually able to ask some of the witnesses, what are these things? And they keep saying interdimensional. And then when you talk about the interdimensional aspect of, are these things pre-existing, maybe outside of what we currently know as our own dimension, that stuff can kind of all sound crazy, but at the end of the day, my job as an investigator is to receive all the information, decipher it, and then ultimately from a congressional aspect, if you do have contractors that are withholding information or operating outside of the purview of the federal government, there's budgetary issues, but there's definitely something that I can tell you with confidence that exists that we don't know how to explain currently.